How is it? Tell me everything. Did you sleep with it? Is your wife jealous?
You know what happened to me last night? Speaking of that,
I don't know if I want to know this.
Yeah, you do. It's I've developed a wonderful sleeping problem this year. I think because of COVID and now the election's not helping, right? So I had gotten over it a bit when my daughter went away to college and everything was fine and I was sleeping like through the night. But once again, I've gone back to this thing where I kind of wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm awake for like an hour and then I fall back asleep. And you can see it like in Fitbit. It's like this giant red bar in the middle where I don't sleep, So this happens last night. And I'm trying, I've sort of not gotten used to it, but I'm better at falling back asleep after it happens. But I wake up, I just wake up. I can't help it. So I'm laying there and I'm not falling back asleep. So I'm thinking, okay, if it's late enough, I'm going to get up. So I look at my Fitbit and my Fitbit says 10:51 p.m. Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I went to bed at 10:30. This should say 4 something a.m. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, has my problem devolved to the point where I slept for 20 minutes and now I think it's 4 o'clock in the morning? I'm like, what am I going to do? So I'm like, it can't be. So I look at I have an iPad next to the bed. So I open it up and that thing says 4:50 something a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, my Fitbit crapped the bed last night. So that's all it was. But I mean, I think between everything that's going on in the world, and I knew this morning I had to get up and post the Xbox review, which is what you were referencing earlier.
Yes.
I just, like nothing works. I'm all just broken inside and everything I own is broken. So to answer your question, how is it? Right now, what it is basically the same experience as an Xbox One X because I'm playing these games that aren't optimized for the new console. Mm-hmm. However, with one major change, everything happens more quickly on this console. And actually, it's 2 major changes. It is silent and cool running. This thing doesn't make a freaking sound, dude. There is no fan noise at all.
Oh,
my Xbox One X sounds like a jet turbine when I start playing a game. It's like it just sits there. After you're done, it sits there blowing air for like 10 more minutes. It's dissipating heat is a huge problem for this thing. So the design that they did for the Xbox One X, which involves, split motherboard and all kinds of thermal control and all this, is a super quiet fan. Awesome. It's awesome. You can put your hand on it. I played this thing last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Saturday before. I don't remember. One of the Saturdays. Literally, I was there all day long. So I just played it all day, like 8 hours. This thing.
Terrible job you have. Terrible job.
I had to. I did it for you guys. Put my hand on it. No problem. It was a little warm for sure, but not like uncomfortable, not hot. But as far as like the performance goes, this is the first Xbox. I'll just say it's the first Xbox because the first one didn't really have a dashboard, where the dashboard just like moves, like
it just
everything
works.
happens. Yeah. So whatever changes they made internally, they're literally dedicating a single core of the CPU just to the UI, like to the system, the operating system. That's part of it. I think the super fast custom SSD is part of it. Super fast RAM, part of it. Whatever, all this stuff combined, and of course the super efficient, 7-nanometer AMD processor. Finally, like for the first time ever, and dude, through the Xbox 360 and then of course the Xbox One as well, they must have released 36 software dashboard updates trying to fix the performance problems. It's fixed. And the performance stuff is the most fascinating thing to me because it extends to power management. So when you're familiar, like Xbox has like instant on, and then the high efficiency version, whatever that's called, that's better for the environment and better for your electrical bill, I guess. The slower version, whatever it's called, on Xbox Series X is faster than instant on Xbox One X.
Oh, really?
It's incredible. Like, this thing comes on so fast, and I am using instant on again now, that my monitor can't power on fast enough to, you know what I mean? Like if I do both at the same time, my monitor coming on lags the system coming back to life. Like it's instant. And they've added instant resume to, I don't know the exact number. I think it might vary based on how much RAM they use, but you can have somewhere between 2 and maybe 5 games that are basically cached. so that you can toggle between them. So if you're familiar with like the Xbox One X, if I go into Call of Duty, Black Ops 4 and I start playing, I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah.
Bring up the guide, choose another Call of Duty game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. That thing loads from scratch. It's like it's, from a dead stop. That's not how it works on the Xbox Series X. Parts of those games are still cached essentially, and they don't come up instantly because they're backward compatible games. But it does. You get a little. It's not a logo, but a little bit of text in the corner that says instant resume, so you know what's happening, and it is faster than launching it from a dead stop, and it's absolutely faster than the older consoles. Like that stuff is amazing. So it's really performance. And then the weird thing is, it's a pretty long review that I wrote, but very little of it is about gaming because as of today, there really aren't that many optimized games that I've been able to try. Some of them are going to have like launch day updates, or they'll get updates between now and launch day. There was one game in particular, was the one I intended to highlight, and then Microsoft came back last night, I think, or the night before, and said, don't write about this one game. And I'm like, that's literally the one game I was going to write about, but they're optimizing it again, I guess, or new or whatever they're doing. So,
how is it with older games? Like, so Modern Warfare or Call of Duty, does it feel faster? Like, do you have more, like, is it a higher frame rate?
See, I don't know. I can't really measure the frame rate. I think that the problem is those games like Black Ops 4 in particular, which is 2 years old now, Modern Warfare, which is about a year old, they're not running at 4K 60 frames a second, right? So when I switched to the HDR 4K display on those games, they became much better looking then.
Yeah. So
the difference between that and moving to the Series X for Call of Duty specifically, I can't say that I noticed a difference. There's an initial boot time advantage on the Series X, but the problem is once you're in the game, like the games have these things they're doing that I don't believe are storage based, and at that point, what the thing is trying to do is emulate the other console, right? Which is easy because they're both, AMD x86 based, but I don't notice I'm waiting for everyone else. Like I'm playing multiplayer. So it's possible in single player, like levels might load more quickly, but the truth is like multiplayer, which is what I'm doing, I'm playing with a bunch of people on different kinds of Xbox One, so it's it's like when the Patriots play the Bengals. The Bengals are playing to their level, so it's too much. Sorry. Anyway, here's a goofy thing. So I haven't published my Xbox Series S review yet. I'm going to try to make sure I do that later today. The Series S is like the perfect living room console because it's small, it's cute, it would fit in anywhere, you could put it anywhere, and it's the first Xbox that I think could be an ideal media device.
It's not too expensive.
But I mean, if you want just one device and you are going to play games, it's okay. And by the way, that console you asked about the Call of Duty difference. When I play those two Call of Duty games on the S, identical, they're the same. But when this is a different game, but the year that Call of Duty World War II came out was probably the year that Microsoft shipped the Xbox One X. So I only played it on that console. And at one point, I brought out the Xbox One S, and I installed that game on there, and it was significantly worse looking. Like I was really surprised by that. I thought that game would have just looked the same on every Xbox. That really surprised me. But I've not tested that, but if you go from an Xbox One X to an Xbox Series S or X with the two most recent Call of Duty games, Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare, literally identical. So here's this small, cute little box, silent, just like its big brother, fits anywhere, great, which its big brother doesn't, by the way. Would look great in the living room, can control the TV. It does all that HDMI, CEC stuff or whatever. Good. It doesn't have a drive, right? So if you're just going to do like Netflix and, Hulu and all that stuff, great. But it is kind of ironic. Like the Xbox Series S would be better in the living room as a media consumption device than it is better, I should say, except that it doesn't have that drive, Yeah. If you don't need the drive, fine. I don't.
I don't either.
But some people will. I mean, that will be a sticking point for some people.
Interesting. Well, that's good. Per usual, I hate you, and I'm jealous because mine is sitting somewhere in a warehouse in Louisville, Kentucky, waiting until next week.
So let me. Here's the thing. The truth. Here's the problem. So you play whatever games you play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of anticipate this thing coming in the mail. It arrives one day. It's so exciting. It's like this new console, and you plug it in and you turn it on. And I assume this is available. It is. It's got to be available today on Xbox One X or whatever. But you can use the Xbox app now to set up the console, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever done this. It's easier because you're on a phone, right? Typing stuff on a controller is kind of tedious. So you go through it, a wizard, and there's like several steps, and you kind of get it set up, and the thing boots up, and it's exactly the same. And this is actually kind of a problem, dude, right? Not because like there's something wrong with the interface, but because we're so used to the interface. It's like Christmas morning and you unwrap the gift and you got it and you're like, I already have this.
Oh yeah, it's worse than that. So I'm paying $500 to put the console under my TV, to connect the same audio headset, to use the same Elite Series 2 controller, to play the same game I played today that I'll play tonight. But I'm still looking forward to it. Right,
and it won't be any different. The only difference you'll see, like I said, is that almost alarming performance gain in the UI, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing is, the new controller, if you save game clips or record video, it has that share button, which I have to say is much faster than the old way of doing it, which is the only way for most people today, which is you press down on the Xbox button, the guide comes up, and then you press, I think it's Y for screenshot or whatever. It is a little on-screen menu that tells you what to press. The share button is much faster.
Mm-hmm.
You can press and hold it to record video, and you can configure how that works. By default, it's obviously the last 30 seconds, but if you want to configure it to start and stop arbitrary video, you can do that. That's pretty cool if you want to record video. But the screenshots of 4K now, right? If you're on a 4K set, if you're on a 4K set and you record video, by default, it's 1080p. But these things take up so much space. I actually ran out of space on Xbox. I've never seen this before. So you get this little pop-up that says you're out of storage, delete some content. And I'm like, delete some content? I mean, I never even knew that was a problem. I've been recording, screenshots mostly, but occasionally videos for several years.
Yeah, so do I.
And so all of a sudden, it's added up. I don't know if there's an efficient way to delete a bunch of that content. Obviously, in the console, you can go one at a time. If you have the Xbox console companion app, what do they call it, on Windows 10, you can do the same thing, but it's very slow. Like it's not efficient.
Well, that's good. The big thing for me, and probably for you as well, will be waiting for that new Call of Duty, which comes in a week, 10 days, something like that.
This raises the other issue, Brad. So I don't have this number off the top of my head, but I think this is correct. The optimized versions of new games in Call of Duty, what's it called? Black Ops Cold War.
Yep.
Is one of them. Take up significantly more space than the Xbox One versions.
Sure.
So I'm roughing this one. Might not be exactly correct, but I just saw this morning. The Xbox One X version of that game takes up about 100 gigabytes. The Xbox Series X version takes up about 200 gigabytes. Now, the reason that's a problem is this console has 1 terabyte of storage. So, and 200 gigabytes is gone when you start. There's 802 gigabytes on there, something like that. That means you can put 4 of those games. 4.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which is also a problem on the S, because the S only has 512 gigabytes of storage. Now, those games won't take up as much space, but they're not going to be half as big. They're probably 2/3 as big.
Mm-hmm.
That means you won't be able to fit as many games on there as well. So I don't know how you fix this other than obviously a storage card, but those are expensive. And they only come in a 1 terabyte size right now. So my guess is down the road, we're going to see more storage in the console internally and then higher capacity cards. But storage could be a problem with these next gen consoles for sure.
Other things that could potentially be a problem if you're a PlayStation fan, PlayStation quite literally just announced this. So while we're doing the podcast, they said no units will be available for in-store purchase on launch day, November 12th or 19th, depending on your region. So if you were planning to buy a PlayStation by waiting outside Best Buy, you can't.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
by their senior director of content communications. They just published that. So
I saw, by the way, that PlayStation 5 has a similar storage issue. I think the number on the PlayStation 5 is 829 gigabytes off the top of my head. Is free when you get it. And I don't remember off the top of my head the S. I think the Xbox One S was maybe 300 and something gigabytes.
380, I think is what it's somewhere around there. So
okay, yeah.
Anyways, there you go, folks. You can go read the Series X reviews up on Throt, and Series S coming later today, and we will be
Brad,
back.
I want to show you something. See what this says? See?
Mm-hmm.
Spam caller. Unlike iOS, which just lets everything through, Android knows, and it says no.
Well, maybe it's coming from Verizon because mine will say potential spam.
Oh, okay. See, I never got that. I got spam messages. Where's this phone? I don't know if I got like text message spam of the type I've never seen before.
Yeah, I get weird ones like, please check your FedEx link or whatever.
Yeah.
And then,
No, it's like someone has sent you money. Here's the link. That's not just spam. That's a phishing attack. That's a security problem. That's a...
Yeah, because all they're doing is probably just punching in random phone numbers.
I know, but seriously, like, I got these every single day I was using the iPhone. I switched to Android, I don't know when it was, yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever. I commented to my wife last night. I looked at my phone. I said, I haven't got any spam today. For the first time since I switched the iPhone. And then I'm on it, So anyway, that was the first call, but it marked it as spam. Smart, Brad. It's better.